Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is USA Global TV and Radio. We proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I am your host, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, and we have a brand new show that we are sharing with you today across all of our platforms around the world. Our show title is You as a Whole, Body, Mind, and Soul. And this is the pilot episode. So the star of our show and the creator of this incredible name and the content is Justin MIRIGLIANI. He has become a very good friend over the years. We share some things in common. And one thing that really stands out about me for him is that he leads his life with his heart. He's constantly giving back. Not only is he an entrepreneur, not only did he found a charity, not only is he consistently putting himself out there to help other people, but he also is someone who has extensive experience in the TV broadcasting world. So without further ado, let's welcome Justin MIRIGLIANI to the program. Hello.
Dr. Jacqueline, it's great to be back on the network.
It's been a while, but I'm so happy to see you. And you've been doing a lot of wonderful things since you were here last. By the way, you're half the person you used to be. Congratulations.
Thank you. 55 pounds, almost 52 pounds lighter than I was.
Gosh. Imagine that, 225-pound plates plus. I mean, that's a lot of weight to lose. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, and that's one of the things that we'll talk about eventually through the weeks as we go on. Is that's part of the wellness. Is weight is a big deal. Blood pressure, everything else. So we'll get into that too.
Absolutely. We will definitely get into that. So, Justin, what I'd love to have you share as we start this pilot episode is, why is it that you wanted to talk about body, mind, and soul? What is underneath all of that you felt a calling to do this show? Because the show we were doing before was Entrepreneur and So Much More, which obviously is a different perspective on life and various values. So tell us more about this particular show.
Well, I don't think it's any secret to anybody. I know it's not a secret to anybody who knows me and who's seen, who knows me on Facebook or even LinkedIn or has seen me on YouTube, that I suffer with a lot. I suffer with, I'm an ileostomy patient, which, to be honest with you, is not as bad as people would think it would be. I know that people dread the bag. There's always that stigma of, what would it be like to have a bag? It's got to be terrible. It's got to be an awful life, and it's really not. I mean, it's not a big deal. Nobody knows it unless I tell them. It's actually a lot more convenient than being sick and having colitis and being chained to a bathroom. So wellness on that end of it is important to me, and that's why I started the charity, Checkmates Charitable Association, and we're doing some amazing things. But also, I've been very open about my own mental illness, and I guess my what I want to get across is that if you are somebody who's suffering mental illness, I'm you. I'm not the doctor that's sitting in the chair going through the book in his mind that and the classes that he learned or she learned, and analyzing and writing down notes and trying to. I'm giving you the perspective from somebody who's currently suffering with mental illness, and I'm suffering with a major depressive disorder, OCD, and anxiety. And I think it's important that we finally get people who know what it's like. The doctors have said to me these exact words. I understand what you have. I can diagnose it. I can, family members say this all the time. I understand that you're depressed. I know that. We are aware you're taking the medication. You're obviously exhibiting symptoms of these problems. But every single one of them, including the doctors, always says the only thing is I can't feel what you feel. And we need people who feel it to tell what it feels like. And I started to get phone calls from people who have ostomies and who are suffering with mental illness. And I've had some parents call me about their children and ask me questions about what it was like, because I started with mental illness at 8 years old with anxiety, and I was in intensive therapy 3 days a week in 1983 when I was 8 years old. And there are parents now that call me. It's not often, it's not every day, but and ask me, what do I do? My kid's going through this. What was it like? But again, the main thing is people say to me, I can understand what you're saying, but I can't feel it. So I think we need people who are in the position that I'm in to tell you what it feels like, so people know that it's not just it's frustrating to me when I hear people say, what do you have to be depressed about? It's like saying, what do you have to be cancer about? Or what do you have to be diabetes about? Or what do you have to be COVID-19 about? It's a disease. It's not a choice. It's not you wake up and say, boy, today I would like to be depressed. So I'm going to spend the day depressed. It's you struggle with it and you fight it. And by no means am I saying is it a way to give in, or is it a reason to give up and just quit? That's not what I'm saying. But people have to understand what the damage is and what it feels like internally. So to know what it's like to have it bad, I want people to know what it's like. I want people to know what it's like to be depressed. I want people to know what it's like, not just from a clinical standpoint, from a human standpoint, from the standpoint of, what does this mean in my everyday life? What does this do? And for me, I've had ups and downs over my entire almost 50 years. I'll be 50 years old in December. And I over the last 3 years have been mired in a deep, deep depression with some very minor blips where I got out of it for maybe a month or two or three, and then back into the hole again. You think you turn the corner and you go back, and then boy, man, that is frustrating. And I also want to talk about, as we go through the weeks, the absolute disgrace, and I use the term disgrace, that the mental health system is in this country. And I don't know about other countries, but in the United States, it is absolutely abysmal. What people have to do to get help is ridiculous. The wait times are ridiculous. The uh, wait time on medications are insane. And there has to be a better way. And I think until people start talking and bringing it up and explaining what's going on, I think it's going to continue. And not on my watch. I don't not going to let that happen, as best I can. Yeah, I'm one person. I can only do my little bit, but if other people join in, hopefully we'll get people over the weeks that'll start to call in and ask questions. And then also we'll talk about spirituality as well. I think we lie to ourselves a lot. I think we say things to ourselves that are not healthy. And I want to do a show eventually There's one that burns in my brain that a lot of friends and family say to me a lot of times in tragedies. We just had those two hockey players from South Jersey who were killed in that accident, and in that drunk driving accident, Johnny and Maddie Gaudreau. I did not know them personally, but I know a lot of people who knew them. I'm fairly well connected in the hockey arena in this area, especially, and in the NHL. And again, I didn't know them personally. I never met them, but it's a tremendous tragedy. And I heard people talking to about the father and the mother of these two kids, 31 and 29 years old. And they're still, to me, they're kids, right? And they said, God only gives you what you can handle. And people say that all the time. And I think that's flawed thinking. I really do. I know that some people may be offended by that, and some people may be offended by what I feel about mental illness and how it is. And some people may be offended by some of the things that I want to say about the people who are on television like we are, or on radio, or on the internet podcasting, and because they have a microphone, or because they have a lanyard, or because they have initials in front of their name, or a lab coat, that they're giving you good advice. That's not necessarily true. And you and I talked about that actually over the weekend with a doctor who gave ridiculous advice that is just insane. But going back to what I was saying about these hockey players, a lot of people were saying, well, God only gives you what you can handle. And that, to me, spirituality that's flawed thinking. If there's a loving God, I can't wrap my head around that he chose for that to happen. I truly believe that we are put on earth to do what we do with free will, and we do it. And God doesn't move us around like chess pieces and say, here, you're going to do this and you're going to do that. And I'm going to put you on this road and your brother, and I'm going to get this drunk driver behind you and set all that up. Because if we're chess pieces, then why are we here? What's the point? And some will disagree with that. The problem with those types of thoughts is, how could you not get angry with God if you believe that he gives you these things? So you're saying in one way, he only gives you what you can handle. And I know that's meant to be peaceful, and it's meant to be comforting. But is it comforting? I mean, children who are born with cancer, did God give those parents a child born with cancer because uh, that they can handle it? I mean, that to me is not spirituality. That's old thinking that we've gotten, that has come down from years. I am not in any way against any religious books at all, whether it's the Bible or the Quran or anything. But I don't believe in everything in these books to be taken literally and then used in a way that really doesn't help us, but actually hurts us. Again, I had a cousin who had a child, a baby born with a brain tumor, and the baby died. And people would say, well, God gives you what you can handle. Do you really think God gave that baby a brain tumor? I mean, if it's an all loving and all powerful God, do you really think that that was a plan? That was actually something that he set up? I don't believe that. I think that was a quirk of fate. Now, do I think God is in there during the suffering? Yeah, I do. When I'm suffering, when I had colitis and when I had to have my surgery, one of the priests said, pray to God that your affliction goes away. And it was becoming highly precancerous. Pray to God your affliction goes away, and it might go away. And I said, Father, with all due respect, it doesn't work that way. God's not a genie or a magician who's going to just snap his fingers and fix everything, because if he did that, then he would just control everything. There would be no reason for us to make any choices. Why have a brain? I said, my prayer is not take this away from me, but get me through it. Hold my hand, walk me through it, help me be able to get beyond this. And I know some people will disagree with that, and that's okay. I'm not here to change anybody's mind, but I'm just going to tell you how I think about it. Um, and that's the spiritual side. That's the part of the maybe we'll do it. We'll definitely want to do a show on that about grief and God's role in that. And so that's I also will be doing some shows where I'll pre-record some weightlifting techniques. I still do powerlifting. Now, I'm not as strong as I was when I was 55 pounds heavier, but I'm still bench pressing 320 instead of 385. And I still want to get back to close to 400 if I can, but keep my body weight down. So I'll go through some lifting exercises, and we'll talk about some of the things that people say that are just off the wall crazy, and some of the things that people say that make sense. I listen to podcasts and I listen to shows every night with my AirPods and just try to soak in as much as I can. When I was a kid, my parents, I listened to much of their instruction and a lot of their advice and followed it very, very well. There is one thing that I did not follow, and I think everybody has to make this choice. People talk about well-rounded people. I am not a well-rounded person. I will be the first person to tell you that. I'll be the first person to tell you that. I will not win if we play Jeopardy. I'm not going to win. I'm not going to I don't know anything about, you know, 17th century literature. I don't know things that other people find very, very exciting, which is fine. There are some people who know a little bit about a lot of stuff, but I think you have to make a choice. And my choice was learn a lot about a little bit of stuff. So for me, it's spirituality. I tried to learn as much as I can about that. I can't say that I'm an expert, but I think there's a difference between somebody who says, well, you know what? I went to theology, I got a master's in theology, and I memorized the words of the Bible. But yeah, you can memorize words of anything. It's like people who talk about studies with diseases. You can memorize the words. That doesn't mean you get it. And there's a difference. And I think that is something that I like to dive deep into over the course of the show, is that it's important that we know who to trust, we know um, when to trust, we know when to trust ourselves. I didn't follow anybody's diet plan. I didn't follow anybody's per se. I didn't follow anybody's exercise plan. I did what was best for Justin Mirigliani's body. I ate the way Justin Mirigliani's body needed to eat, and I worked out the way Justin Mirigliani's body needed to work out. And I got naturally 20-inch biceps, which is extremely hard to do if you're not taking steroids. And that's another thing we'll talk about. We'll talk about whether you take steroids or not. Of course not. I would advise against them. Now, would I tell somebody who's taking steroids that they're doing something wrong? No. I mean, if that's their choice, I would tell them what the risks are. But if you want to do that, you can. But to me, it's better to be natural. You're not going to look the same. You're not going to be as big. If I took steroids, I'd be a lot bigger than I am right now, muscle wise, but and very little body fat. But is it worth the risk? So there are a lot of things that I want to cover, and that's why we named the show what we did, because I want to talk about the body. And again, I'll do some workouts and show you proper ways to lift and good ways to lift. Um, there are also different reasons to do the things you want to do. I'm not going to be a pro bodybuilder, so I'm not going to get down to 6% body fat. There's no reason to do it. It just doesn't make any sense unless you're going to be a pro bodybuilder. If you want to get down to 15%, that's one thing. If you want to get down to 6%, you're going to live a very tough life. what you eat is gonna be like down to your salad dressing is gonna be everything. You will have to count every calorie that you put in your mouth. Now, do you want to do that? If you do, great. If you want to just have a normal life and be healthy, that's a totally different story. So there are a lot of nuances to things. Again, with the spirituality part of it, we say things that don't make sense. We tell ourselves things that really, if you think about it, don't make sense. I see on Facebook all the time. Well, I've been off Facebook with over the last couple of weeks, and I'm probably going to stay away from it for a little while. I think I need a break. With my own mental health, I think it's a little easier to back off a little bit and kind of sit back. But people I've seen say things like, mom passed away 30 years ago, and I miss her more today than the day she died. No, you don't. You don't. Nobody does. Time does heal. That's not true. Now, are you missing her more acutely today because today's the 30th anniversary? Sure, absolutely. But as a whole, do you really miss your mother or your father or your grandparents? I have my parents, thank God, but my grandparents, do I miss them? Am I as sad as the day that they passed away? Of course not. Of course not. I was a wreck when I lost them, and I'm going to be a wreck when I lose my parents. 10 years later, will I still be in the same position I was the day my parents pass away? No. So I think we tell ourselves stories that are not true and believe them and make them true in our mind. So that's a lot of what we're going to talk about over these couple weeks.
I'm still here. Thank you for sharing all of that. I just want to say that the last time we did a show together, when you had let me know that, entrepreneur and so much more, you needed to take a break, we
Yeah,
both cried. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
We cried at the end of that episode. And look at you now talking about all these very serious topics, things that you are living with every single day, and you are just being so transparent and honest because you want to help other people. And I really admire that. You are not putting any dressing on, no icing. You're just putting it right out there. So thank you so much for being brave and courageous and for standing for something that really means a lot, especially to me, because I've known
I
you for
appreciate that.
a number of years. So one of the things that I really want to have us talk about today, and we had a show earlier today, so I think this is in alignment with that. When we think about your body as a whole, mind and soul, there's the pharmaceutical industry, and then
Yep,
there's holistic alternative medications and processes and ways that people can live their lives. So you and I are no stranger to pharmaceuticals. I've had ulcerative colitis for 35 years, and every day I'm like, please let me get off of this medication. But there are alternative things that are out there which I incorporate into my life, you have incorporated. What are your thoughts about the fact that you are on medication for your mental health, and there are people out there who would say, you know what, you don't need that medication. You need to find appreciation and gratitude and do some of, thank you, universe. What do you think about all that? Because there are people out there who say that to me. It's
right.
all in your mind, Jacqueline. You're stressed out. Really? I caused this myself. I brought it on myself. You brought that on yourself. No, I don't think so.
The
What do you,
science would tell you no.
yes.
The
What do
science will tell you no. You got to follow the science. You and I talked yesterday, or 2 days ago, and we were talking about things like odds. If I go to Atlantic City and I'm playing blackjack and a dealer's showing a 10, dealer could have 20, dealer could have 21. Well, they would check to see if they have 21, but they could have 20. If I have a 19, I can't hit it because I'm sitting at 19. If you go over 21, you bust. So are you going to bank on you're going to get a 2 or an ace where you have 8 decks of cards or 6 decks of cards, whatever they're using now? No, I mean that's crazy. You take your chances with what you have. You have a 19. You're hoping that the dealer's got a 7 underneath, not a 10 or an 8, so you win. But I had a cousin, 1991. She was killed in a car accident. She died because of the seatbelt. The seatbelt lacerated her liver, and she passed away because the seatbelt lacerated her liver. So there will be people who will say, "Well, you see, I told you seatbelts are dangerous. Seatbelts take lives." But how many do they save? If let's say, and I'm making up numbers here, but let's say 150,000 people a year or whatever are saved by seatbelts, or let's say 1 million people a year are saved by seatbelts, and 110 are killed by seatbelts, then it's a no-brainer. You wear the seatbelt. The science is telling you what to do. Now, that doesn't mean everything's going to come out right. That doesn't mean everything's going to work out. You take medication, but they will tell you, again, the, you have to decide what the gamble is. I took a medication when I had colitis that there was a 1 in 10,000 chance of getting lymphoma. Nobody wants lymphoma. I was afraid of getting lymphoma, and I said to the doctor, "Oh, that's a side effect." And he said, "Well, yeah, it's a side effect, but it's a 1 in 10,000 side effect. So your choices are this." And this is exactly what he told me. He said, "Your choices are don't take it, and you have a 100% chance of your colitis causing you to be incapacitated and sick and not be able to work and not be able to live a life. Or you could take the 1 in 10,000 risk, take the medication, and actually live a normal life or as normal as possible." So, I mean, what was I going to do? Tell the doctor, no, I'm not going to take the medicine because there's a 1 in 10,000? The upside was much higher than the low end. So you really have to, I'm not against holistic medication. I'm not saying that there's not a place for it, because I think there is. In conjunction with pharmaceuticals, yes. As a substitute for pharmaceuticals, absolutely not. I don't agree with that. And I, the science again is on our side. It's not. This is really. It's like people who deny climate change. You could deny it all you want. The science is there. That's another thing that I'm interested in. Like I said, my parents wanted me to be a well-rounded person. I chose to know 5 or 6 things really, really well. I'm an expert in communication. I'm an expert in computer programs and soft skills. I am very good, not an expert, but very good at meteorology. I have my own page on meteorology. I'm very, very good with kinesiology, with movement, with nutrition, with weightlifting. I know what to do, even when I wasn't doing it. I knew better. Um, and Hockey is another thing that I got into, and that was a big part of my life. I was a student of the game and enjoyed that. uh, I I chose to focus on only the things that I really, really liked, and I didn't spread myself thinner. So I can't tell people what they should do. Other people might say, "Well, look, you're missing out. Maybe you should read Shakespeare." I took a Shakespeare class. It wasn't for me. It didn't interest me enough to want to dive into it. I just didn't care. It didn't. It wasn't important enough for me to really get into it, or math, calculus, or things like that. It just wasn't something that was super important to me. What was important to me were the things that I really got into, and one of them I made a 6-figure business out of. So some people might be like, the what's his name, Jennings, I can't remember his first name now, from Jeopardy, who has an incredible amount of knowledge and an incredible amount of topics, but I chose to concentrate and get as good as possible at the things that I liked. And that's the choice you make. And that's what I tell my kids. You have to decide, what is it that you want to do? Do you want to be an expert at a couple of things, or at least very, very knowledgeable about a couple of things, or do you want to spread out and be more well-rounded? Neither choice is bad, in my opinion. It's just whatever your choice is. Mine happened to be focus in on the things that you really like a lot, get really, really good at them, and then know what you're talking about with those things. And then if it's something else, you say, look, I'm not up on that. I just don't know it. But when it comes to medication and it comes to, I am certainly not a medical doctor. I listen to medical doctors. I read studies, but I don't make opinions off of the studies that I read. I see what the doctors say about the studies because I can read words. I can't interpret what those studies mean. And I think we have too many people with too much information who try to do all of that and try to be an expert in everything and tell you, well, yeah, you just, there's no such thing as a chemical imbalance. I can't stand, and I'll be honest with you, and I'm just going to flat out say it. I can't stand Tom Cruise. I mean, what his belittling of psychiatry and mental illness and anything that has to do with psychiatric help is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. What he misleads people. He makes people think that they're bad for taking the drugs. Let me tell you something. Those drugs have saved my life. Being able to not only the mental illness drugs, the colitis drugs as well, has saved my life because otherwise I wouldn't be here. I would have probably have committed suicide years ago in a deep depression. So we can't take people at their word because they want to be arbitrary. I think everybody's looking now to get famous by finding the one thing that science got wrong. Well, let me tell you something about science. Because about meteorology, medicine, all these things. They're going to change over the years. There are going to be things that we know now, or we think we know now, that we're not going to believe later on, and we're going to say we were wrong doing that. I could tell you that happens in weightlifting all the time. There were certain, I'll just give you a quick example. Partial reps. Partial reps mean you don't do a full range of motion. You lift maybe just the bottom part of the lift. And it was thought, oh, no, you have to have full range of motion. If you don't have full range of motion, the muscle will never get stimulated and you'll never get bigger muscles because you're not stimulating the muscle. Now we're learning that if you do partials and you work out with your muscles in a stretched position, it seems to spur more muscle growth, and then you do your full set with the full range of motion. So it's not people lying. It's not science lying to you or telling you stories that aren't true. It changes because we learn. That's really what the big thing is. And I think that's what happens is a lot of people take the changes and say, see, eggs, for instance. Remember eggs were bad for you? Years ago, they talked about eggs. Cholesterol, don't eat eggs. Now they say eat all the eggs you want. They changed their mind because they learned more. They studied more. They know, they understand more. And that's I think what the problem is now with what we have as far as the internet goes and people who think that they're more knowledgeable than they are. I listen to the experts. I give you an opinion based on expert opinion. When I give a weather report on my weather page, here's how I do it. I'm going to be so transparent with you and tell you how I do it. Do I check the models? Yes. Do I understand all the models the way a professional meteorologist does? No. Can I extrapolate some of the math that's done for checking out the atmosphere? No, I can't do that. What I can do is I can find 30 or 40 sources around the internet, people who are on different sides of this, some people have a cold and snow bias where there's a meteorologist who thinks, oh, every storm is going to be a blizzard. And then you get other meteorologists who hate snow and they think it's going to be every storm's going to be rain. And what I do is I listen to ingest all of that information and I look at the model runs that I can understand, and then I average it all out, and that's where I get my forecast. I'm not an expert in meteorology. I get the forecast done by taking the opinion of many, many, many experts, putting them all together, learning what their biases are, and then saying, okay, based on these biases, based on who said it, based on what model biases there are, this is what my best guess is. And I'm right probably 70% of the time, almost the same as a professional meteorologist. Now, some may say that's cheating. At the end of the day, does it matter how we got the answer?
Woo! You are stirring the pot there, my friend. I love it. I appreciate everything that you shared. I just also want to share that I have a doctorate, so I'm not a medical doctor, but I have a doctorate in business administration. And in doing my dissertation, we had to look at peer reviewed articles. So
Sure.
when people are on the internet and they're just Googling, they're checking things out, that doesn't mean that the information that you get is by someone who is an authority, who is an expert in that field. Anyone and everyone can just put their opinion about anything. So you didn't mention peer reviewed, but it sounds to me like what you're saying is you're looking at peers who are recognized as experts in the field. And so you're looking at
Absolutely.
that.
Professional meteorologist.
Yes.
Model runs that are the model. It's amazing that we get the same model runs that the pros get. So now, am I as good at reading those models as a pro meteorologist? No, of course not. But if I look at 40 different meteorologists, like when we get a snowstorm, I'm up all night checking to see, who's saying what, and trying to extrapolate all the information I can and then come up with a forecast based on that and what the experts say. But it's always expert driven. I mean, it's never my own going out on a limb saying, well, I believe this because I have this knowledge. I don't. So I have to rely on the knowledge of other people. But you know, 9 out of 10 dentists agree that this toothpaste is the best toothpaste. Well, you got the one that doesn't, right?
Right.
So if you got 9 out of 10 that are telling you that this is the best toothpaste, you go with the 9, I think. I mean, I just think that's a smart move. Could the
Well,
one be right? Sure, it's possible.
of course. I want to encourage our audience to be their own brand ambassador. Do the research when it comes to your health. You need to look into what the options are. So, for example, just in my opinion, I have ulcerative colitis, I've got eczema. You've seen I've had facial eczema, like frightening scalp psoriasis. And I do not just take what a doctor says to me and run with it. So, for example, they want me to move to this new drug. I'm not going to mention what it is. And I did my research and it came out last year. It's for something else. Another
Mhm.
indication is ulcerative colitis. And only 27% efficacy for ulcerative colitis. Only 300 and some people actually were in a clinical drug trial for this medication. So I'm not taking it. No. And even though the doctor said your colon is a ticking time bomb, I choose not to believe that because I'm changed my lifestyle. I have a positive mental attitude. I'm still taking the other medicine I was taking. So what am I saying from this? I'm saying do your own research.
Yeah.
Everybody out there, look for peer reviewed articles. There's so many medical journals out there. Look for those journals, do your own research, and make a decision that you can live with. Don't just go by what someone else tells you because, in the end, it is your life.
And I
So,
think you should make it with the doctor and talk to the doctor about why you don't want to take it and say, look,
yeah,
yeah, and just say, look, it's got a 27% efficacy rate. It's not worth it to me. And they should
exactly.
understand that.
And by the way, some doctors may say, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be your doctor anymore because this is what I believe. And we've talked about this before. That's a whole other show. But in the past, I'm going to say years ago, some doctors were aligned with pharmaceutical companies. And then I
Sure.
believe there was an act passed called the Sunshine Act where things changed. But we don't know who's aligned with what. And I'm not making any bold statements. I'm just saying when it comes to your health, do your own research. Justin, I can't even believe we're already 40 minutes into our 40-minute show. And
I know.
we have a video that I want to share. So can you tell our audience a little bit about what we're going to watch for Checkmates? Tell people what Checkmates is, how they can get involved. And of course, we'll be back next week.
Yeah, so Checkmates Charitable Association, I started in 2014, and we do NHL celebrity hockey games. And this one's going to be the biggest one we've ever had. We have some really NHL Hall of Famers that are going to be coming down to play with us. Schedules permitting, of course. they coach and stuff. So we have to, but it's August 23rd of next year. Just a star-studded event. It's to raise money for Crohn's, colitis, and ostomy. It's going to go to Rolf Benershka's charity for ostomy patients, and it's also going to go to CHOP, which is Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Found out about a kid who was born with inflammatory bowel disease, and that got the juices flowing, and we're working hard to get that off the ground and make as much money as possible and stamp this out as soon as we can. Like I said, life with the bag is not terrible, but I much rather see people go through life with a healthy colon than have to, live with having an ostomy. So that's why we're doing it.
Thanks, Justin. And as you know, because you and I have talked about it, I would dread having a bag. Please, God, please, universe. So I really admire you. I know you've shared that it's, it's liberating in some ways, but I'm happy where I am right now. So I hope that I can continue on this journey. And again, my hat is off to you because you're so brave and strong. And now this transformation of the 55-pound weight loss is incredible. So keep up the incredible work that you're doing. Know how many people you are inspiring. Know how much you mean to me. And let's take a look at this video because I think this is really profound. So for everyone watching, please consider making a donation. There are multiple areas on this video that will show you where you can actually donate. You can call, you can email, you can go to the website. Let's take a look and we'll be right back.
Hey everybody, I just want to tell you how thankful I am that you came out to
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just open up. Don't be scared. I'm so gone, no I'm never turning back. I won't stop, I'ma fight until there's nothing left. It's so on, you're gonna be hurting bad. Cause I've been to hell and back. You don't wanna make me mad. I stay strong, you will never see me crack. And if you get in my way, you're gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math. When I hate, I attack. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like
family for all that they did to help me get through this, and there's a lot of planning that get done. It has to get done. I want to thank Nick's Roast Beef and Common Avenue for all they've done. Dr. Prieto for saving my life and finding the disease and treating me for so long. And the Flyers organization for all they do to help us raise money every year. So thank you everybody, I appreciate it.
I'll see you when I'm gonna see. Baby, I'm ready to go.
Well, we could end this show crying as well.
Baby, I'm ready to go.
Yes, you're half the man you used to be. You saw that video, right? First of all, I love hockey. I love ice hockey. You're so good. Your kids were there, and the music's so uplifting. I know YouTube doesn't like it, so we'll be changing it because of copyright. But I'm so proud of you, Justin, in every way. And I just want you to know that you have a place in my heart forever.
Same here. You've done an amazing thing with this network, so
Well,
you should be
thank you.
proud too.
What would you like to say to our viewers as we close out for the pilot episode, week 1?
So what I want is it's week 1. In the next couple of weeks, I want you to come in and share with us, chat with us, talk to us about what you think. I want to hear about you. I don't want it to be about me talking the whole time. And some of the shows will have guests. We'll have some guests who will be high profile guests. But I want your involvement. Remember, I'm coming to you as one of you. I'm not coming to you as an expert. I'm not coming to you with a white jacket. I'm not coming to you with a stethoscope. I'm not coming to you with any kind of credentials. I'm coming to you as somebody who knows how to live this life, has done it for 49 years, and we'll get through it together.
And I just want to add on to that, Justin, that you and I are not coming to anyone with any judgment, right? We all are walking our path, and we are here to serve, and we are here to educate, and we are here
Absolutely. I
So-
have way more questions than answers, that's for sure.
Justin, what is the best way for people to reach out to you, and who would you like to contact you?
Anybody who'd like to come to the game, it's August 23rd, 2025. Anybody who wants to help out with Checkmates, make a donation. The website is www.checkmatescharity. It's plural, checkmatescharity.com. My cell number is 610-324-5545. If you're interested in playing, there are a couple slots open, not many. We're running out. So do it quick if you're going to do it. But any way you can help us, even if it's just to come to the game, 2-hour open bar. Tickets are going to be $70. That's it. 2-hour open bar, full buffet, and access to NHL players who are in the NHL Hall of Fame and the Flyers Hall of Fame. So, and also some other celebrities that I won't tell you about until you get there.
Justin, we are a global platform, so could you please share with our audience, where is the event taking place in the world?
Where in the world it's taking place? It's going to take place in Aston, Pennsylvania at the Iceworks rink. It's going to be on the big rink, I think rink 3. And the game, the party afterwards is going to be in Havertown, Pennsylvania at the Yard Pub. And that's where we're going to have, it'll hold up to 700 people. So the rink will hold 1,000. The restaurant will hold 700. I want 1,000 people in that rink, and I want 700 people in that restaurant.
And I believe you will have it, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Can't wait.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you to everyone who is watching or listening, whether you are on the live or the replay, or you're actually on a podcast platform, because now all of our live videos are turned into podcasts on our YouTube channels, as well as Spotify and other places where podcasts are heard. Have you subscribed to our channels yet? If you go to YouTube, we are USA Global TV and Radio, as well as Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Those channels are in the notes. We're also on Amazon. We are on Roku. We're on Zizzle TV. We're on E360 TV. So we have probably 56 different programs every week, and we really are interested in hearing from you. So please do feel free to drop us a message. The contact information is there, info@USA Global TV and Radio. Thank you again. We're signing off for right now, and we will be back again tomorrow with more exciting content. Until then, take care of yourself, be good to yourself, and remember, you matter, you are important. Be a brand ambassador for you.